Hey everybody, thanks for joining me for this video. I really appreciate it. Most of you who watch this video initially as it's released are probably people who already follow my channel. This channel, what I'm posting on, or the main channel, Post to Post, which is completely hockey related. I hurt my ankle back in March, so it's been a while. It's currently January, so this video is long overdue, but I'm kind of glad I waited it in a way because some people are going to find this video who are in this exact same situation that I am. So this goes back to what I just said. Most of the views that come in on this video initially will be from people who already know I hurt my ankle and stuff, but all the views afterwards are likely going to be from people who are in the same situation that I am, because that's one of the first things that I did was not reach out, but I searched on YouTube to find people's stories of their ankle injuries and their ankle surgeries and stuff. And there's really not that many videos on YouTube. It's a pretty specific injury. Welcome. If you are one of those people who joined late, or who joined this video late, or maybe found it based on your injury, welcome. I'll try to be as detailed as I can in this video and tell you exactly my experience and what I went through and how it happened and everything. So, because what helped me the most when I hurt my ankle and I was on bed rest for almost 3 months was watching videos like this and hearing people talk about it. It didn't really matter about the person. It was about the story, and it's almost like taking comfort in misery in a way where you know that someone else out there has shared your pain and gone through what you're going through. So if you are one of those people, I understand exactly what you're going through. I know what's going through your mind. I understand the pain that you're in. So thank you for joining me for this video. Let's get into it. I'm going to walk you through the entire timeline of my accident. So this happened March 5th of 2019. Now, March 4th, there was a huge snowstorm here. Not here. I currently live in Fredericton, New Brunswick, but this actually happened in the accident, or the injury actually happened in Summerside, Prince Edward Island. I was living in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. So that'll come into play a little bit here in this story, or this day that I'm about to unfold. So a big snowstorm on March 4th. March 5th, I went to work the next day. This was a Tuesday, I think. I think Monday was the 4th. It was no work because it was so much snow. Tuesday was technically the first day of the week. So I went in and I worked at a car dealership in sales at that point. So part of my job in the morning after a big storm was to clean the lot, unfortunately. And it's a long process. If you're Canadian, you can understand what it's like to wipe snow off a vehicle and scrape the windows. Now doing that for 180 vehicles. It's not fun. So on my way into work, I was looking at the lot and seeing into the work ahead of me, basically. It's going to be 4 or 5 hours to clean the snow off a lot of these vehicles. So it's going to be a long day, and I was just kind of looking around and went to go into the side door. It was locked. I thought, that's weird. This door is never locked. It was 7:55 a.m. Should be open by now. That door should be open. This door, I always go in. I noticed my boss walking way in the distance in the background of the parking lot walking in. And I was like, I could wait for him, but I'm not lazy, so I'm going to walk around. So I go to walk around the corner, and in the front of the building, there's a concrete sidewalk basically that goes around the edge of the building. So I was walking on that. And as I rounded the corner to my right, I'm looking to the left at the cars and stuff. And it's cleared because the person came in and they cleared the concrete parts and in preparation to ice it, basically, but it hadn't been iced yet, or it hadn't been in preparation to salt it, but it hadn't been salted yet. It was already iced. That's the problem. So it cleared away the snow, still a little bit of snow on top of the ice, and that's where the accident happened. I was looking to my left, turning to my right, so my right foot was kind of angled to the right, I guess, as I made the right turn, and it slipped from under me, and my entire body started to fall like this. I'm sure if you're Canadian or live in a cold climate, you've slipped on ice before and fell. It happens to literally everyone, and usually nothing happens. My problem was that the ice on the concrete stopped halfway through, so when my foot got to the point where it got back to concrete and there was no slippage, it stopped. But the rest of me didn't, so my entire body literally folded on top of my ankle, and my ankle went like this, rolled over on itself, and tore it out of the socket, and that shattered my ankle, basically. I broke the two main bones going down my leg, the fibula and tibula, or whatever they're called. I don't freaking know. It's been so long. And then I broke a piece in another part of my ankle, just a small bone. So this happened at 7:55, and I have things all written down here in the timeline because I can't do it off the top of my head, so I had to do it. I'll make a list. 7:55, the accident happened. 8 a.m., I was at the hospital. 5 minutes later, luckily, my place of work was just maybe like 3 streets over from the hospital. So a coworker didn't pick me up. I hobbled into his SUV, and he drove me over to the hospital. I got to the hospital. My ankle was literally turning to the right, and I'm going to add pictures and stuff in this video as well to overlay and help with explain my story, my experience. So my ankle was off basically to the right, and as time went on, it kind of floated back to normally, but when it first happened, it was way off to the right. But when I got there, this lady's like, I put myself in a wheelchair, went up to the desk. She's like, "Can you fill out this paperwork, please?" And I'm like, yeah, but like my ankle's gonna fall off. So, and it's, I'm toast. Like, can you give me some pain meds? Like, I was in significant pain, obviously. And she's like, "I need you to fill that out. Do you have a Medicare card? Do you have a health insurance card? Can you fill that out?" I'm like, "Yo, let's go." Anyways, I filled it all out. By 8:20 a.m., I was getting x-rayed. That was extremely painful because of the way I had to lay and angle my ankle. 8:30, I was on a bed basically meeting the nurses and doctors. So it was, within a half an hour, I was undressed and pretty much naked on a bed and getting ready for what was to come. At 9:30, the ankle was put back in place and put in a temporary cast. They put me under, it's not really sedation, but I don't know what you call it. I was still conscious enough to have a conversation, but I don't remember any of it. Apparently, I told a joke during this moment, a joke that I didn't even know beforehand. So for some reason, my high mind created, this joke. And the joke was this: "Why did the bird go to the hospital?" And they said, "I don't know. Why?" "For treatment." Apparently, that's the joke that I told. They told me this afterwards. Anyway, I don't remember any of that hour, basically. So 9:30, ankle back in place, or back in socket, and had a temporary cast on. At 10 a.m., I was taken to the waiting room, and they were trying to secure me a drive to Charlottetown because they knew right away that I needed surgery, but they couldn't do it there. That had to be done in Charlottetown, which is an hour drive away. So at 3 p.m., quite a ways after that, I finally got a drive in an ambulance to Charlottetown, and that wait was quite painful from basically 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And they didn't really medicate me that much, and there wasn't too much pain, but it was still extremely painful in the scale of pain. So I arrived at Charlottetown, immediately had an MRI, and they realized how severe it actually was. At 4 p.m., the doctor came in and explained his plan to fix my ankle. It's called technically a Trimaleollar fracture or something like that. At 6 p.m., my parents came to say hello, bring me some things, headphones, the books, that stuff. 8 p.m., they took me into surgery, and they were giving me the drugs or whatever she said. Now, I want you to look at the ceiling, and I was laying down at this point. I want you to look at the ceiling. As I inject this, you're going to notice that the dots on the ceiling are going to get a little bit fuzzy. I'm like, okay, I know this routine. So she puts it in, and she's like, "How do you feel? You're probably going to get a little fuzzy here in a couple seconds." I'm like, and I said this. I said, "I'm looking at the ceiling, and I see the dots, but they're really they're sharp and." Instant, like it didn't even have a chance to get those dots to blurry. It was instant. It was unreal. That's the last thing that I remember. And after that, 1:30 came around. That's when I woke up. I was in kind of like this resting area. I could barely keep my eyes open. It was the strangest experience ever. I was so tired that I couldn't keep my eyes open. Like I literally, I physically could not open my eyes, but I was awake, but I couldn't open my eyes. But I couldn't fall asleep. I wasn't tired enough to fall asleep. It was one of the strangest feelings in my life. I don't drink. I haven't been drunk in 13 or 14 years or whatever it's been. I don't do drugs, so like feeling not like myself is very foreign to me. So that was definitely a strange experience. Around 4:30, I woke up in the hospital room. Excuse me, and the nurse said, she basically came in with a big jug, and she's like, "Can you pee in this?" I'm like, "I don't really have to pee." And I was much more conscious at this point. I could actually open my eyes and stuff. She said, "Well, I don't want to scare you, but if you don't pee in this jug, I'm going to have to put a catheter in you." And I said, "You ain't putting nothing up in my penis." So I said, "Give me the jug. I'll try and pee." So anyway, she gives me the jug. She leaves. She wasn't even out the door. I had my penis out in that jug, and I was pushing. There is no way I was letting anyone put anything inside my pee hole. Not a chance. Not happening. So that was taken care of. We're good to go there. Definitely peed a little bit. So, man, that was the most stressful part of the whole experience. Okay, so where am I? So around 6 a.m., I woke up again with basically no appetite, but they told me to eat, so I did. I think I had like a piece of melon or something, or orange, and I got super nauseous, like instantly nauseous. From the time that it was in my mouth, it didn't even get to my belly, and I was already like, yeah, a bucket. I need a bucket. I didn't throw up, but it was close. At about 8:30 a.m., my parents came to say hello. Around 9 a.m., nurses came to show me some exercises to do over the next 2 months, basically, while I was on bed rest. So while I was in bed, I can't walk, obviously. I have a lot of muscle atrophy, so I had to do certain exercises, like bring my leg up and like kind of like do this with my knee and stuff. And there's a bunch of different things that I had to do. Honestly, it didn't really help that much. I still had pretty severe muscle atrophy. I don't know how you would avoid that, but they also showed me how to get up and down stairs with with crutches. So that was an experience, and it was actually way better than I thought it was going to. I've never used crutches before, but that was totally fine. At 11 a.m., I was discharged from the hospital and home. So about, 27 or 28 hours after the accident, I had been taken to the hospital, ankle put back in place, had surgery, recovered from surgery enough to crutch myself away, and home. I'm not sure if that happens in America, but in Canada, they kind of get things done when it comes to medical stuff for the most part. Now, there's people obviously in waiting lists for things and stuff, but my experience was very quick. I was treated very professionally and with 100% care and thoughtfulness. They were fantastic. Everyone I dealt with basically in the hospital was great. So no complaints there whatsoever. I feel super, super lucky. So that was March 6th. 2 weeks later, I went back for x-rays and got the surgical cast off and the stitches out. New cast on, which was blue. Besides the potential thing inside my pee hole, getting the stitches out was the most painful thing of the entire experience. Worse than breaking my ankle. So, I don't know how most doctors do it, but my doctor did something called like weave stitching or something, where normal stitching is you make a stitch, you tie it, you make a stitch, you tie it, make a stitch, you tie it, you make a stitch, you tie it all across the incision, or all along the incision. My doctor started the stitch and then weaved it through my incision and then stitched it at the end. Apparently that's called weave stitching or something. It's quick, much quicker than the traditional stitching method, and hypothetically easier to take out because you cut one end when they need to come out, and then you just pull it through. That didn't happen for me. The stitch string healed within my incision, and so when he cut it, and it wasn't even the same, it was just a nurse person. It was a nurse that cut it, and went to go pull it through. Well, it wouldn't pull through because it was starting to heal within my incision. So what did he do? He took tweezers and forced it into my incision, like prying it apart. That was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. I literally almost passed out in pain. It was incredibly painful, and I'll never forget it whatsoever. I actually had to ask him to stop because it hurt so much, and I asked him to get a different nurse who didn't have as shaky hands and see if she could do it any better. She did. She was fantastic. She was way better than that guy. He was probably half the problem, but that was incredibly painful. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. So I'll show some pictures of this obviously and stuff too. New cast was blue. 2 weeks after that, I went back again for x-rays. Everything looked fine. 4 weeks later, on April 29th, which is my birthday, I went back for x-rays again and to get the cast off. And that was awesome. I got the cast off. It was extremely hard up until this point. It was extremely hard to sleep because I couldn't lay on my side because I couldn't put my ankle in any other position than basically straight up. I couldn't put any pressure on the side of either side of my foot, so I couldn't lay on my side. It was incredibly painful, and this is basically a month and 2 weeks after the injury, and I've slept on my back every single night without moving. That was not fun whatsoever. That was probably one of the worst parts of the entire experience, was doing that, because I'm not really a back sleeper. But anyways, I got the cast off on my birthday. At that point, I was finally able to kind of sleep on my side a little bit because the cast wasn't like digging in or applying too much pressure on the ankle. I could kind of put a pillow in between my feet and start to sleep on my side. It was much better. And I was allowed to drive. Can't walk yet. Can't really put literally any pressure on my foot, but they let me drive, and I hurt my right foot, my driving foot. In Europe, it'd be a little bit different, but my pedal foot is my right foot. So I drove to the beach and I took some night photos, and it was fine. It was a little bit sore, obviously, but it wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be. I got to get out of the house for the first time in basically almost 2 months, so that was pretty great. About a month later, this would have been, I guess, late May, back for x-rays. It went fine. 2 weeks later, around mid-June, I started physiotherapy, and I had that for quite a while. I felt like it helped a little bit, but not as much as I was anticipating. I basically had to like walk on the treadmill, and I had like electro shock therapy. That's not what it's called, but they basically put the things on me, and then they stimulates the muscles with electricity, and then they gave me like an ultrasound thing to promote healing, and did a bunch of other stuff. And honestly, I didn't really feel like it helped that much. And I did all the exercises they said. Like, I'm supposed to stand on, kind of put my feet together and like lift up on the front of my foot using my calf muscles and like the muscles around the ankle. I actually can't. I'm gonna try and do it on the bad foot. It actually hurts quite a bit. I'm still in a lot of pain in certain things, so I'll get to that in a little bit. But 1.5 months later, in late July, I went back for x-rays. Everything looked fine. Around the same time, I had an ease back to work process, so I was going back to work, dealing with workers' compensation. I'm not sure how it works in the United States or in other countries if you're watching, but in Canada, if you get hurt at work, you're covered a certain percentage of your wage and stuff. So they kind of control when you go back to work, and they monitor your back to work progress. You don't just go right straight back to work. If you used to work 5 days a week, then you start back 2 days a week, and then you move to 3, and then you move to 4, but you're not working full hours, you're working half days, and so it's called an ease back. So I did that, and it went fine. My work was really great about it. September, I went back for x-rays. Everything looked fine. My next appointment was November 4th, and I did not go to that appointment. I couldn't. I moved. I moved here to Fredericton, New Brunswick, where I live now, to a new job. So I have not been to the hospital since September, and I didn't really feel like there was a need to. Like, what are they going to tell me? Like, I don't know. He said your big appointment's March, like around March, when it's been a year, and that'll determine if we need to make any decisions as far as removing the metal. And by metal, I mean 3 metal plates and 14 screws, or do we have to do some other kind of surgery to help you with your movement and stuff or whatever? So he said basically anything in between is just checkups, really. And if my x-rays look good 6 months ago, well, they're gonna look fine now. So I just saved myself some time having to travel all the way back to Prince Edward Island, which is a 4-hour drive there, and then obviously 4-hour drive back. So I'll probably call the hospital and get my appointment set up for March, and then maybe I'll make a follow-up video a year later. So overall, I kind of went through that pretty quickly. But overall, thinking back, the hardest parts was definitely getting the stitches out, like I said, sleeping on my back. Bathing was really interesting. I was not allowed to take a bath. I was not allowed to shower for the first 2 or 3 weeks, I think it was. Maybe it was 4. So I had to basically use like wet wipes or flushable wipes or whatever to wash myself. It was not fun. Would not recommend it. And then when I finally could take a bath, I had to take like a laundry basket, turn it upside down, put it into the tub so it would come above the water, and I could set my foot or cast on top of that. And I mean, it was for if I wasn't naked and I was wearing clothes and you could just watch me, God, it would have been comical. But like just flopping all around and stuff and whatever. But after that, I could take a shower after a certain amount of time. Can't remember how long it was, but I bought a chair that I could put in the tub or in the shower, because I have like a shower and a tub combined. And I would turn the shower on, and I would just kind of hobble in and just sit in the chair. It was actually pretty awesome. If you got a chair and you want to put it in the shower, try taking a shower with a chair. It's actually super relaxing. So I did that for about 3-4 weeks until I could actually stand, and then I went back to obviously taking normal showers, and have so since then. What else? As far as progress, I was definitely walking unassisted by, I would say, mid-May. So I got hurt March 5th. By mid-May, I was, for the most part, walking unassisted. By the beginning of June, I could walk quite well, but obviously you could still tell that I was injured. I had a hobble, but I was able to kind of keep pace with people I was walking with and stuff. There are certain situations that were painful and stuff, like walking on like some rocks and stuff and whatnot. By July, I could walk without a limp at all, so you wouldn't even know that I was injured for the most part. It's quite painful though at certain days, like a lot of swelling. That was the big thing. I'm sorry that I have not mentioned this yet. The swelling is significant. For a long time, my ankle is still swollen. I would say probably by about 25% normal size now. Before it was probably, I wore compression sock, which reduces swelling, but if I didn't wear that, I would say 3-4 months after the surgery, it was probably 50% or 150% the size of normal. Right now it's about 125%, I guess. It's painful, but not. Well, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and it's the beginning of January as I'm filming this. So 9 months, or what? Yeah, 9 months. And so what's the progress been up to this point? How do I feel now? Obviously, I can stand on it, one leg. I can do all kinds of things. It doesn't hurt to walk. Once I'm up on my feet for a bit, like in the morning, I'm walking like this. I don't know why. Just that's the way it goes. I don't know if the blood needs to go back down to the foot and circulate and stuff, but that's how I'm walking for maybe 3 to 5 minutes in the morning. After that, it's totally fine. I can walk normal. It's still a little stiff and it still hurts a little bit, but it's fine. If I lay on the couch and watch a movie and then I get up, it's the same thing. I need to give it a couple minutes to get used to the pressure and stuff again. But generally walking throughout the day, like if I'm up on my feet or whatever, it doesn't hurt to walk. It's a little stiff, but I mean, there's I'm used to it now, and I don't even notice that it's hurt. I've attempted to run kind of. If I was up on my feet for a while, I think I could probably run, but I might need to let it warm up and stuff a little bit. And I haven't really pushed myself that way, and maybe I should have, but it is quite painful. Now, as far as this is gonna be hard to explain with my with my arm, but when you bend your ankle like this, it acts differently when there's pressure on the ankle. So on my good foot, if I keep my foot flat and lower my knee to the floor as low as I can go forward without removing my foot on the floor, this is how low I can go. So I'm bending my knee and I'm bending my ankle. If I use my bad foot, this is how low I can go. It doesn't bend like I can't. If you look at my foot and leg, if this is my knee, and this is my foot, on my good foot or my good leg, it's like this. On my bad foot, it's kind of like this. It's not my knee, it's the ankle. The ankle doesn't want to move this way, like up, when there's pressure down on the ball or the joint, basically. That's the biggest issue. That is 100% the biggest issue. It's the most painful thing. It's the thing that I'm concerned about the most. I don't know why I can't break through and go further. I don't know if it's going to take years to do that. I don't know if my situation is normal. He said it would take at least a year before it got back to even close to where you were before, and he said likely it'll never be back to where you were. So maybe this is going to be my new norm. I don't know. That would be really unfortunate if it was, but I have a feeling that I might get the metal taken out by choice years in the future or in a little bit. I didn't necessarily plan to when the surgery first happened. I'll be like, oh, that's fine. I don't care if there's metal in me, whatever. But if it's causing me problems and stuff and things aren't getting better, then I will probably request it and go through the process again and see if it helps. I have not seen any real improvement in the past, I would say, 3 months. It's basically been the exact same in the past 3 months. So maybe the progress is just really, really slow at this point. I'm not exactly sure, but that's my story. It's kind of, I wish I had a heroic story to tell, like I ran out in front of a car to save a kid or something and get hit by a car, or I don't know, sports injury, or I was in an accident, or I don't wish that was an accident, but it was just a freak accident. I slipped on ice and it caught a part that wasn't slippery, and I just stopped and fell over onto my ankle. It was as simple as that. It was a 100% freak accident. There are so many things that I could have done earlier that day or if I had to just waited for my boss. Like there's so many little things I could have done, like not pass a car on the way to work or whatever, that would have prevented that accident because I would have arrived a little bit later or a little bit sooner. And so you kind of do that in your head, like what if I did this and whatever. But I'll tell you this, because I hurt my ankle, there are an incredible amount of things that have happened to me, positive things, since that point. And I'm here standing in this room in an amazing situation in my life and so happy. And during that time in my life, I was not happy, and obviously that added to my frustration getting hurt. But there's always good that comes from bad, and I've had a lot of good come from that. So I wouldn't change, honestly, I wouldn't change anything. I'm okay that it happened. Everything happens for a reason, I believe. I'm not religious, but that's what I believe. Everything happens for a reason. So it is what it is. I will answer any questions in the comment section if you have any. I'm trying to hurry because the time's going to run out here on my camera. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to answer them and help you out. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you can to get updates in the future and catch some of my other videos. I'd really appreciate that. And yeah, just thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and hope you enjoyed my story a little bit. And I'll catch you in the next video. Adios.